wants us to have a great life. Amen. And if we learn how to take care of our health, we can have that. And that's why we brought Dr. Ruocco in here. And we want him, he's going to start off and do his PowerPoint, but he wants it to be interactive. So if you have a question, he wants to help out. And I think it'll be a lot of fun here tonight. So we're so glad that he's here with us from Power Life Ministries.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for all being here. Castle, thank you. As we get started tonight, like Castle said, I really want to make this interactive. I think I learned best when, I was able to interact with my teachers, and I think it's best that we interact tonight as a family and we could help each other all grow and learn together. So don't hesitate to raise your hand if you have a question. I really want you to take away tonight what I'm going to go over with you, the principles of living an abundant life full of health, because really, if you don't have your health, what do we have? Right? And our body was created in the image of God, right? So we need to treat our body like the holy temple, right? And I really think that there's so many distractions that really take us away from that. And I think tonight we really want to hone in on that and share with you, really the principles of what it takes to be healthy. And there's many things I hope you take away from tonight. So, road trip. We're going to take a road trip tonight. What I share with you tonight in this journey is really something that I've been blessed with in my teachings and what I've been blessed with my mentors and my teachers. And I just want to pass that along to you. It's really been a life changer for me in my guidance of how I not only teach my patients, but my family, my children. So just to give you a background of myself, I'm married with 3 beautiful children with an additional one. My wife's niece was in the foster care system. When she was 10, we decided to take her under our wing, and she's been with us, and she's going to be 17. She's a senior now looking at colleges. Amen. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. So, but really, teaching them, my children, has been one of my, I've been blessed to be able to do that in so many ways with my knowledge and my education. But really, it's something that we really need to grasp, and I want you to take this journey with me tonight with what I'm going to share with you. It's going to be a little different, and it's really designed to help you start thinking. I don't want to say differently, but there's some principles that are going to be different in the way we view our health and the way we think of our health and the way we think of our bodies and how we treat our bodies and how we take care of our bodies. So if we can go to the next slide, please. So it is part of my mission, part of my team's mission, that our belief in any real discussion of health or hope of improving one's health must start with our core understanding of what health is and where it comes from. Therefore, we have included in our mission a commitment to educate, empower individuals with the knowledge to create health and wellness in their lives. So I will share with you a quick story. We can go to the next slide. We can go to the next slide. Okay, so I have a vision for each and every one of you to become a better you. Okay, can we say amen to that? Okay, we can all be better. I think life's a journey of always doing things to help make us better and make us grow as individuals, right? And when we look at one of the stories I'll share with you, I think it starts on the next slide. You can go to the next slide. This is my baby boy, Bryan, when he was, I want to say, a few months old, 6, 7 months old. You notice the rash all over his body, right? So, do you think it scared us as parents? Absolutely, right? Now, I will share it was our third, right? So we had some experience, right, with health and baby. But when you see this, what's the first thing you think of? What do you think of? Something's wrong. But how do you pick up on that, on something's wrong? What do you see? Rash all over the place, right? So, a little bit of a concern, right? And I'll share with you, my wife had 3 C-sections. So Bryan was born as a C-section baby here in Cleveland. Our first 2 children were born in South Florida under a midwife whose husband was an OB. So it was kind of a whole quasi-natural, holistic approach. But when my wife had Bryan, she wound up having a lot of discomfort after her C-section surgery. So she did not want to take heavy narcotics that help with the pain. So she relied on Motrin, ibuprofen, Advil, Tylenol, all of that. Well, long and behold, when Bryan was developing this rash, we were like, okay, we got to change something, right? We went to the doctor, right? And the doctor said, okay, we got to give him some steroids to calm down this rash. I said, okay, what does the steroid do? Now, I have some knowledge. I know most people wouldn't, but what do steroids do? They suppress the immune system, all right? What is the purpose of your immune system? To fight infection, right? Okay. What power in the body gives you your immune system's ability to fight foreign invasion infection? What is it? Okay, but what's the power behind that? And that's a principle I want you to kind of grasp tonight, okay? We call it innate intelligence. Did anyone ever hear that before? Each and every one of you have an inborn intelligence that resides within you, okay? Whatever you want to call it, okay? Each and every one of us have it. If you think about it, we have, at conception, what happens? You have a tiny little sperm and a tiny little egg, and we get a baby that can come out that, right? Arms, legs, eyes, everything, heart beating, right? All that. Did you ever really take a second to think how amazing that is? Okay? Now, my wife always told me the egg was a little smarter, okay? All right? So, but long and behold, understand that as we go through the talk tonight. Each and every one of you hold within you a certain intelligence and power within you. So when you do get an infection, what should happen? What do most people get when they have an infection? A temperature, a fever. Do you tell your body to get the fever? What does that? But what does it? That intelligence, right? So we're going to call it that intelligence. But is that smart? Yeah, absolutely. Because what does a fever do? It alerts you, but what does it do to the bacteria that's trying to infect you? There's certain temperatures that bacteria cannot live within. So your body's smart enough to raise its temperature, right? Boil off the bacteria so that it cannot what? Continue to infect you. So I will challenge you, okay? Who here thinks fever is bad? Raise your hand. I love them already. Okay? Who here thinks a fever is a good thing? Raise your hand. Who here is afraid to raise their hand? Correct. Let's just say an average fever, not a fever that can cause convulsions and seizures and stuff. Let's just say an average 101.8 fever. Is that normal? Yes. Is the body doing what it should be doing? Yes. Okay? So, my son Bryan develops this rash. Do you think I want to suppress his immune system? Absolutely not. Okay? So, to make a long story short, we went through a process of getting him off my wife's breast milk after pulling things out of my wife's diet. Dairy, eggs, all the things that, could be influencing Bryan as he's drinking the breast milk. So Bryan starts to clear up. What were we giving him? We were giving him goat's milk, okay? So we go to a farm, travel an hour every day, every week. On a Saturday, we'd pick up goat's milk. That's what Bryan drank, okay? His skin cleared up, okay? And to this day, over the years, it's taken about 4 or 5 years for him to totally clear up. He's had gut issues, okay? He's had belly issues. And why is that? we found that it was from the ibuprofen, the Tylenol, and all that my wife was taking while she was breastfeeding. So, next slide. So this is Bryan. Next slide. Yep, this is Bryan probably about 6 months ago fishing in Montana. Okay? So thank you. So, when we trust in the power that is built within us, and we understand that if there's interference to that intelligence, that's one of the main things that causes sickness, disease in our society. Interference to that intelligence within our body, okay? So if there's one thing you walk out of here with tonight, I want you to tell yourself, the power that made the body is the power that heals the body, okay? So next slide, please. So your blank is God's gift to you. Your body, your life is God's gift to you. Now let's all say the next phrase together. What you do with it is your gift to God. Okay? So, yes. Amen. So, Pastor Castle says, if we continue to mess with the fever, so let's just say, if we continue to try to suppress the fever, what happens to the immune system? And what happens to the infection? Right? So now, correct. Now I will share with you, as we've said before, is there a time and a place where you should intervene? Absolutely. There's no denying that. But why are we so quick to jump to the pill box to lower the fever? We're not trusting the intelligence within our body. The other thing and why people do it, most often that I hear, that I know of, okay, is why? Is because it's the discomfort that comes along with that infection that makes you feel fatigued, achy, right? It's not so much the fever, although some people do it for the fever, but it's the aches and the pains and everything that are a result of that. And why do you get those aches and pains? It's the toxins released from the bacteria that your body is killing that causes all those muscles aches and pains, okay? That's why you get those aches and pains when you get sick, the flu, your fever, okay? So, again, is there a time and a place where we want to intervene? Yes, okay? But when you have a 99, 101, whatever your comfort level is, you set that bar, right? But we prolong infection and we what? Deter the innate intelligence within our body from doing what it's trying to do and what it should be doing. And we're going to talk more as we go through the lecture about certain symptoms that we are so quick to jump to take what? Tylenol, a pill, right? For symptoms that we should be trying to ask one question. Why? Why? Right? And that's one thing, and the principle in my practice is really helping people understand you need to ask the question, why? You have a fever? Why? You have pain in your belly? Why? You have a rash? Why? Do you know what and this is unfortunate, but do you know what the national average for a medical doctor visit is, time-wise, that they have with you? The national average. 6 to 7 minutes. 6 to 7 minutes to hear your symptoms, which we're going to talk about tonight, symptoms, to hear your symptoms, and then to them, what? Majority. Some doctors listen longer, okay? But for the majority, with the national average, 6 to 7 minutes, and once you hear that sheet tear off, your appointment is over, right? Okay? So just understand the difference on what we need to know about how God designed our body. Because when you were born, did your parents give you an instruction manual? When you buy a TV, do you get an instruction manual to learn how to use it? Did you get an instruction manual when you were born to know how your body works and operates. No. So what we base our choices on, right, is based on what? And I'll share a quick story with you to answer this question. Thanksgiving just passed, right? I heard of a story about 15, 20 years ago that for Thanksgiving, the day after, family would all get together and they would make a roast, right? A big roast for the entire family. And my grandmother, okay, got this from her mother and then from her mother, so it's been generations, generations. So my wife and I are in the kitchen, and my mother and grandmother are in there making the roast, and they cut the ends off of the roast. My wife goes, "Why do you cut the ends of the roast off?" And what did my mom and my grandmother say to her? "Well, that's what my grandmother did." And then, "Well, why did grandma do that?" "Well, that's because what her grandmother did." Well, to learn, 100 years ago, they didn't make pots big enough where they had to cut the ends of the roast off. Okay? So do you understand the things that we experience in life and our belief system is really based on what? Our experiences in life, right? So the things that I've experienced with my kids, I can share with you, right? My experience with my education, I can share with you. So our beliefs, our core beliefs are really built around the principles of what? Your experiences, right? So I feel that I'm blessed to have Castle have me here to share with you just a different way of thinking and resetting that owner's manual that you never got. Does that make sense? So let's go to the next slide, please. So change your thoughts, right? And you change your world, right? You change the way you think, okay? When you change the way you view your world changes. So I want to share something with you. Go to the next slide, please. Raise your hand if you can see an object on that screen. Okay. How many of you see an arrow? How many of you don't see an arrow? How many of you don't see? Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. It's really getting you to see things differently, right? Do you see the E and the X? Do you see the arrow there? You got it? You got it? All right. Did you notice that before? All right, you guys that are bragging. Okay, all right. Okay. But are there some of you that never saw that before? Okay. So that's what I'm trying to share with you tonight. Just how you can see things a little differently. Okay? So, next slide. So, think about it. The miracle of life. We get a sperm, an egg, we get an embryo, we get a baby, we grow, life's experiences, core beliefs, and we grow and we continue to live our lives, right? So, what is the average person do when they have pain? What's the average person do when they have pain? Okay? What do we need to start asking ourselves now when we have pain? Why? Okay, why? Right? So, when we understand and can ask the question why, I challenge you the next time you have an appointment with your doctor that they take the time to answer your why. Each and every one of you, okay, deserve to know why based on the knowledge that you're asking for from the doctor, okay? The doctor should not tell you what to do. The doctor should explain to you the why and then offer you what he can do to help you. So, when we ask the question, why, do you think it takes longer than 6 to 7 minutes? Absolutely. So be prepared, okay? I have this happen all the time. It is your health. Who is responsible for your health? Yourself, okay? Don't let anyone take responsible for your health, your children's health. You are responsible for that. So, you have every right to ask questions and to learn your why when it's a symptom, okay, that you are wanting to learn more about. Please, whether you decide to take medication or not, I'm not here to tell you to do that or not, but please, ask the why and make an educated decision. Because what does doctor mean? What does doctor mean? Like when you say Dr. Ruocco, when you say you're what is it? Yeah, yes, I agree with you, but what's really the definition of a doctor? Like doctor? A learned man or a learned person, an educated person. That's doctor. So the only reason why I have that in front of my name is because I was educated in a certain realm, okay? And I'm just more learned than the average person. That's all, right? So your responsibility is your health. When you go to your doctor, it's not, do not put your health and the responsibility of your health in your doctor's hands, okay? Make sure you are educated and utilizing them to do so. So it's billed, exams in a doctor's office are billed based on time, okay? And the time spent, right? So, truth of the matter is, healthcare has become big business, right? And I have many doctor friends. They're some of the most loving people and want to care for their patients. But it's the education, okay, that they're taught. And where do those teachings come from? Universities, medical schools. Who does most of the funding to the medical schools? Big Pharma. Big Pharma. And what if you had a business, okay, where you had people that can become a customer of yours for life, that individual has bought in and is a customer of yours for life, is that not like the best business to own? That's our healthcare system. Buy into those practices, because in our healthcare system, I will tell you, in the United States, we rank at the top when it comes to emergency care medicine, can save your life in a time of need. That's when we should be using medicine, right? It can save your life in a time of need. You want to be here in the U.S., okay? There's people that come from all over the world to the U.S., okay, for emergency medicine, okay? Now, when it comes to chronic degenerative conditions, where's the one place you don't want to be? In the U.S., okay? We rank towards the bottom when it comes to chronic care. Now, why is that? Because our system is set up to manage care. So it is called condition management. So I'm going to manage your condition for the rest of your life, and you're going to consume pharmaceutical drugs and be a consumer for life with these medications. How many of you know people that are on cholesterol medication? Raise your hand. Raise your hand high. How many of you know someone that has gotten off of cholesterol medication? Keep your hand up. Maybe 1/10 of the people that raised their hand. So I applaud those that did that, but how often does that happen? Okay? So, when you are just under condition management and you're not asking the why, you'll never fix anything. And that is a problem that I have with our healthcare system. So But you're right about the whole time thing. And the other thing, too, is you said about, people being maybe a little afraid to ask questions because it's going to take too much time. I think most people are afraid to ask questions because they feel like they are questioning their doctor. I get that a lot. Again, I'll plant this seed. Who's responsible for your health? And if you don't like the answers that you're getting, go somewhere else. Get a second opinion, a third opinion. I deal with people that may have to have, surgery to their spine at times. And I tell them, you're going to go to 3 different doctors and get 3 opinions. You're never sold on one person's mind. Okay? Question? Comment? My experience from what I hear from clients of mine when they're more educated is that they got to change doctors. Because I've had so many patients come over to me and said, my doctor won't see me anymore. He told me I got to go find somebody else because I won't do what he says. That's unfortunate, but again, you should have a relationship with your doctor that is, can you help me understand why? Help me make an educated decision on what I feel is best for me, right? So, next slide, please. Okay, so 3 principles, of health and healing that I really want you to take away from tonight is number 1, the power of life. That innate intelligence that lives within each and every one of us that keeps our heart beating, our lungs breathing. When you eat, those of you who ate lunch and breakfast, it's turning food into energy. What does that? That intelligence within you. There's no scientist that can turn food into human flesh. The only thing that can do that is what? The body. Okay? So don't ever think we can outsmart the body. Because we've thought we can do that, and it's only caused more problems and health issues. Yes? Wait, hold on. Did everyone hear what she said? Okay. She uses food as medicine. That is a famous quote from Hippocrates. How many of you know who Hippocrates is? The father of medicine, who said, let food be thy medicine. Yes? Amen. So what she's saying is that, what did they do years ago in Bible times when there was sickness and disease? You trusted in your body to do what it should do. We didn't have the pharmaceutical companies. We didn't have the drugs, right? We didn't have any of that. Get this. We make up here in the U.S., 5% of the world's population. We make up 5% of the world's population here in the U.S. What percent of the pharmaceutical drugs do we consume that are made worldwide? What percent here in the United States? 70 to 80% we consume here in the U.S. Yet we only make up 5% of the world's population. How many of you know someone that is fighting cancer or has had cancer? Raise your hand. Or has passed from cancer? Raise your hand. Put your hands down. How many of you know someone that has high blood pressure or heart disease? Raise your hand. Put your hands down. How many of you know someone that has some form of digestive issue, diabetes? Raise your hand. Okay? Look around the room. We have the best technology, the smartest of smartest doctors, yet we have the rates of disease in this country, are over the last 30 plus years, have they gone up or down? So can we continue to live through the same philosophy, the same model of health and expect a different result. What do they call that? Right? So what can we do differently? What can we wrap ourselves around and embrace to understand? How do we get our temple, our body that God created for us in his image, to making sure we are living to our greatest health potential? Because once we started introducing man-made things to this earth that entered this body, that's when sickness and disease has gone through the roof. Okay? And at the end of this, I leave you with 10 tips, 10 health nutritional tips that I want everyone to start following. Okay? Or at least taking the steps to follow. Okay? Is it easier to be sick or easier to be healthy? Ah, I hear a little mixture. We got a little feud now. Uh-oh. All right, sit over here. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. If you believe, okay, so answer this. How many of you use a microwave? Oh, man, this guy came in here telling me I can't use my microwave? Okay. Is microwave easy or hard to use? Okay. Do you think there's any nutritional value left in your food that you put in that microwave just zapping it with rays just to heat it up? No. So, is it easier to pick up food at McDonald's and KFC and Burger King? Or is it easier to do it at home and cook a big meal of greens? And what's easier? Okay. So I'll ask you again. Is it easier to be sick or easier to be healthy? If you do things out of convenience, that will lead you to sickness. Okay? So, all right. So I'm going to answer your question because I'm going to get to it here. But I want you to make sure I answer your question. All right? I'm not going to forget about you, but in case, just raise your hand. But I'm going to answer that here for you in a few minutes. All right? My gosh, we may be here. We okay on time? I only think I'm like 4 slides in. Okay. All right. We're good. All right. Next slide. Oh, wait. Hold on. All right. So real quick, symptoms. We talked about that before. Symptoms are your show and tell. Okay? Your symptoms are showing and telling you something. Okay? So if you're driving your car and your check engine light came on, and after a few days it went off, but then after 2 weeks, 2 months, it came back on and it stayed on a little longer, but then it went off, and over the next 2-3 years, it's going on and off. What do? You get it checked. Right? Because the check engine light is a what? A warning. Your symptoms are what? Warning signs. Now, if you were told that I was the best mechanic in this area of Ohio, that if your check engine light came on, you need to go see Ruocco. He's the best mechanic around. Okay? You come in with your car, I take a look, check engine lights come on, I give you the car back, and all of a sudden you start it, check engine light is off. What are you going to ask me next? You know what I'm going to tell you? Nah, well, hey, wait. It gets a little better. It gets better. You ask me what? I took the bulb out. I took the check engine light out. I took the bulb out of the check engine light. What'd you say? That doesn't fix it. Okay, amen. So listen, when you have symptoms that are showing and telling you something, don't ignore them, but don't cover them up either. Because covering them up, if you kept driving that car, sooner or later that car is going to what? Engine's going to go. There are people that live, okay, every day with their lives that way, that people that have died, that have what? Their lives were cut short prematurely because they lived their life with symptom suppression, okay? Okay, and disease management, not addressing the problem, okay? So, principle number 3, where does health come from? Does it come from the bottle that you can shake and it hears like Skittles, like Tylenol, or does it come from within? Health and healing comes from within. Next slide, please. Okay, I want each and every one of you to get a copy of this. Some way we can get it to the right. We could print it out or something, or I'll email it, whatever we need to do, get it in your hands. I need each and every one of you to get a copy of this, okay? And study it. Take a picture of it. Look, they're one step ahead of me. Just taking a picture of it. I like it. I like it. Okay? So, is the lack of symptoms mean you are healthy? If you do not have any symptoms, does that mean you are healthy? Did I hear a yes? No. Okay? How many of you know someone that went to work one day, died and had a heart attack, but wasn't sick, didn't have symptoms? His first symptom of heart disease was the heart attack. In 2003, I lost my grandfather, probably one of the best individuals, the best individual I ever know, probably the most impactful in my life and who I've become as an individual, I owe to my grandfather. And in 2003, he was walking up his steps to work. He was 81 years old. He worked every day of his life until the day he died. He walked up the steps to work, and he had some discomfort in his chest. My uncle worked with him, said, "We're taking you to the hospital." Okay? Took him to the hospital. He had a little shortness of breath. He went into the hospital. They said, and at this time, I was working in Florida. This is in New York. So I flew up. I seen him in the hospital. They just did some angiogram test where they stick the camera up to check the heart. I get a phone call 5 o'clock in the morning that my grandfather passed. He shed a clot from the getting up out of the bed to go to the bathroom. He shed a clot, killed him. But we learned, they gave us the results of his test, saying that one of his arteries in his heart was closed 80%. It took 80% closure before he had his first symptom. So don't ever think that because you don't have symptoms that you're healthy. Health is not based on how your symptoms are. Health is based on how your body is functioning. And that's the key term to walk away with. How well is your body functioning, right? Very important difference between symptoms and function. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so just to nail down, yes, sir. Yes, we're getting to it. We're getting to it. Thank you for reminding me. You can keep reminding me. We're going to get to it. Okay? So, I'm going to give you another analogy if you want to hear both of them, or I can cut it down to one. So, another thing to nail down your understanding of the principles of health and how we live our lives to be healthier. If you had a fire at your house, God forbid, who do you call? Okay? I want you to think of the fire department as medicine. In a time of need, emergency, you call the fire department. No different than medicine. If it's an emergency, we use it. They get there in time to your house, they put out the fire. But they sprayed water all over the place, they had to break some windows and doors, and there's smoke, dust everywhere, okay? Fire department leaves. Fire department came with what? Axes and fire hoses. Think of emergency medicine, drugs and surgery, axes and fire hoses. Do not tell me the insurance company, because I get that every time. Who are you going to call the next day to start rebuilding your house? Contractors, right? Because they're the ones that have the tools, to help you rebuild your house. Are you going to call back the fire department? Because when they come to your house with axes and fire hoses, and you got nails, wood, and you need the tools like screwdrivers, hammers, and all that, can they do the job that they need to do to rebuild your house with axes and fire hoses? No. So if you ever need medicine for whatever time of need in an emergency situation, and that's for you to decide when that is, who do you call upon when you want to help improve and rebuild your health back to where it should be? Who do you call? Who? A good physician, nutritionist, acupuncturist, chiropractor. Who else? Holistic diet, right? Because they're the ones that are going to help you what? Improve the health and function of your body. We're not coming to the scene with axes and fire hoses trying to rebuild the house. You got it? Okay, good. Next slide, please. So, symptoms, whether it's fever, vomiting and diarrhea. Pepto-Bismol. All right. All right. You were getting an A until you answered that one that way, okay? You were getting an A, okay. All right, so let's talk. Is diarrhea good or bad? Good. Okay, good. It's bad for the person that's got to clean it, but it's good, okay? Vomiting, good or bad? Okay? So for people that vomit, and well, let's just go with the diarrhea part because that's easier. For people that suffer with diarrhea, why do we take Imodium? What does it do? Ask yourself, is my body stupid? Is my body stupid? Okay? So if I have diarrhea, what is my body trying to do? Get rid of something it doesn't want. So in the large bowel is where you absorb most of the water, okay, and fluid. But when there's bacteria or unwanted things there, toxins, the body says, if I absorb this water, I may also absorb these toxins. I think it'll be better if I just let this pass through and flush out toxins. Does that sound good or bad? So when we take Imodium, what are we doing to the toxins? Okay? Now, it's not good to have diarrhea for 8 days, okay? So we got to ask the question why. But I kid you not, the majority of people that would go see their medical doctor for that are going to get what? Some sort of medication to stop the diarrhea, okay? They don't want to take the time to tell you, let's do a blood test, let's do a stool test, let's figure out what's in your gut that your body doesn't want, and then let's treat it then, right? So we can go through all these lists of symptoms. Who here doesn't sleep well? Okay? One of the most important things for your body to heal and to function properly is sleep. And if you do not sleep well, you're not healing to your maximum potential, right? And if you're not healing, this prolongs sickness and disease in your body. You must be able to sleep, okay? Now, that doesn't mean, hey, I'm going to go take a pill so I can go to sleep. Ask the question, why? Why are we not sleeping, right? And those are the questions that we have to answer. Next slide, please. So listen to your body when it's trying to talk to you. So we talked about the fire alarm. If you saw a fire alarm because there was a fire, God forbid, would you be okay if I went to the fire alarm and just took out the batteries? We know the fire is going to spread, right? And that's what happens within the body when we ignore symptoms, right? Or just treat symptoms. Next slide, please. Keep going. Okay, we went over that. Keep going, please. So what can cause your house to catch fire? What can cause you to become sick? We're going to go over that here in a little bit more. Are homes engineered to catch fire? No. Did God create your body to be sick? No. Okay? Your body is designed to be healthy. No matter what you do every single day to your body, whether you assault it with poor nutrition, whether you take medications, Your body is always trying to function at its best and towards balance. Always. Always. Next. Okay? So if you saw this in your house in one of your favorite plants, what do you think of? So now we're getting to your answer. Okay? We're getting her answer over there. Okay? What do you think of? Yeah, I know it's dying, but what do you think of doing to help it? Water, right? So think of it, how simple this is, but yet how we do not think about this. When it comes to the plant, we think about it. When it comes to this and what God gave to us, we forget about it. So you think of water. What else, if we gave it what? Sun. What else? Oxygen. What else? Sunlight, soil, right? All the things you know this plant needs to be healthy. So, what if there was one of your kids dumped cleaning solution in there? Right? So, what are the two things that can make this plant sick? You've already answered it, but let's break it down to very simple terms. You thought of deficiency. What is that plant deficient with, right? Water, sunlight, all those. And then toxicity, okay? Those are the two things that can make that plant wilt, right? Why is it when you sit down next to a doctor in the doctor's office, they don't try to answer those questions for you? You're sick, you're not doing well. What is your body deficient with that it needs so that the intelligence within your body can work at its best? Because when you're deficient with things, it cannot work at its best. It doesn't have the fuel to work at its best, which I'm going to leave you with tips about nutrition that you guys need to be focusing on to making sure that your body's intelligence is getting its maximum benefit to perform at its best. So, toxicity, right? So, what is your body made up of? Water, but somebody said it. Cells? Your body is made up of cells, right? What can cause those cells to not function? Deficiency and toxicity, right? Next slide, please. So, healthy cells make up tissues, tissues make up organs, organs make up systems, and you get this miracle of life that all coordinates itself, right? From your lungs breathing, to your heart beating, to you digesting your food, to your liver and your kidneys detoxifying your body. Have you ever thought for a second, with how busy life is, who is orchestrating all of that for you? Who? Amen. Right? The intelligence within our body. Next slide, please. So, there you go. The two things that interfere with the power of life, toxicity and deficiency. So every day, okay, you are putting something in your mouth, you are choosing toxicity or purity, or deficiency or sufficiency, right? Who makes that decision? You, right? So that's very important. Again, your health is whose responsibility? Yours. Understand that you need to be making these decisions for yourself. Otherwise, your convenience in what you do is going to make you what? Sick. Next slide, please. Anyone got to go home to that? Now, if you walked into your kitchen and saw that, what are you going to say? Now, over time, what is that going to create in your kitchen? Bacteria, rodents, flies. So, how simple this is in understanding how you can turn your health around for the better every single day from this day forward is that when you look at a mess like that, that's going to create rodents, ants, flies, bacteria, and you call me to come and fix it, are you okay with me setting ant traps, rodent traps, spraying all the bacteria out of there with Lysol? What do you have to do to fix that problem? What will get rid of the rodents? What will get rid of the ants? What will get rid of the bacteria? Clean it up. Every single one of you can clean it up, all right? Every single one of you. So if you suffer with headaches, migraines, digestive trouble, fatigue, joint pain, sleep trouble, start cleaning up your stuff, and you are going to push more towards balance and health. And things will get better, okay? Next slide, please. So, how many of you have ever been chased by a bear? That's not me, by the way, okay? How many of you have ever been chased by a dog? Okay? How amazing is your body that it goes into a stress response when that happens? When you're going to get chased by somebody, okay, like a dog, what happens to your heart rate? What happens to your blood pressure? What happens to your stamina? Where does all the blood go to? To your organs, like digestion, reproduction, or does it go to your musculoskeletal system and your brain? Okay? That's how smart your body is. So don't ever think you could outsmart your body, right? So when you're in a stress response, the reason why we have a lot of chronic degenerative conditions of illness and disease in our country is because many of you live in a chronic state of stress like you're being chased by a tiger all the time. And you never come out of that stress, right? And that is a problem. That will drive sickness and disease, okay? So, meditation, prayer, the Word of God, get you out of that state of what? Stress. And let your body be what? Restful, relaxed. Get you out of that cortisol response, that fight or flight response that drives inflammation. It drives pain, okay? Next slide, please. So whose choice is it? Your choice. The choices you make every single day are all about health and wellness or sickness and disease. There's never a standstill. You're headed towards one direction or the other, okay? What choice you make, okay, is which way you're headed. Next slide, please. Health tips for you and your family. You ready? Okay, if there's questions, let me know. I'll go through these fairly quickly. I think we're doing good on time. We're good? Okay. All right. Next slide, please. Nutrition. Once you understand health and how the body works, you can appreciate and understand the value of nutrition. How many of you put bad fuel in your car? I can't hear you. Say that louder. That sounds funny. I don't know. Ethanol. I like it. I like it. So, would you put bad gas in your car? Okay. If you had $1 million racehorse that's going to go win the Kentucky Derby, would you feed it the best food? Would you get it the most exercise? Okay. Would you give it the most purest of water to drink? Are you worth more than $1 million racehorse? Then, amen, start treating your body like so. Okay? When you tell me you won't put bad gas in your car, don't put bad fuel in your mouth. Okay? Don't do it. I walk around, like obviously my kids are now 17, 16, 14, and 11. So when they were younger, we go to these birthday parties. They love them to death, but they're not allowed to eat any of the food. Okay? Why is that? It's all candy, sugar. Who's running around with Twizzlers and Fizzy Pops, and who's getting the drinks from the soda fountain, Pepsi, and it's all poison to the body. Okay? Next slide, please. Then God said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. The further you eat away from nature, the more sick you will get. Okay? Who created food on this earth? Who is it intended to be for? Okay? Because it works within us to do the things that allow us to nourish our body, okay, and to live a long, healthy life. How long should we live? 120 years. Okay? What's the average lifespan in the United States? 77, 78, okay, in that ballpark, okay? Do you know statistics have recently come out that this is the first generation of children today, okay, that they are saying will not outlive their parents, okay? Who can change that? We can change that, okay? We can make a difference. Next slide, please. So, this is not what we want to see at the dinner table or the breakfast table, okay? Oh, man. What's so funny? Okay? All right. Next slide, please. So, all right, hold on. So I heard, who said that? Moderation. In moderation, please. Okay? Is moderation a good thing? Can be, right? So I always tell people, or my clients, that I'm not about roadblocks and failure. So if you need to have a pancake, okay, but yet the rest of the day you're going to eat your fruit, your vegetables, your apples, and everything that you should be getting in your body, then have your pancake, okay? Should we be limiting it, not having it every day? So I agree with moderation. There's some things I would not do at all, and there's some things in here that I'm going to tell you strictly avoid, okay? But focus, if you feel your diet is, let's just say 0 out of 10, your diet's a 3, 4, 5. Start setting a plan that you can make it a 6 or a 7. We're not going to make it a 10 tomorrow. Is health a journey or a destination? It's a journey, okay? But understand the choices you make today dictate where your future is tomorrow. So the more you do moderation, the more you say, oh, I'm going to cheat, I'm going to have that. Those things add up and things become cumulative, and that's what leads to more sickness in the body, okay? So, avoid foods that were not produced by nature. What does that mean? Processed foods, a lot of foods that come in a box, a bag, okay? So, potato chips, pretzels, right? You start eating more away from nature, it does cause a lot more sickness and disease in the body, okay? If you can't read an ingredient, what should that tell you? Don't eat it. You can't pronounce it. I tell my kids, you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. Okay? And how many of you like to eat like yellow number 5? Start reading like M&Ms or something that has food. I'm going to consume blue number 2. What is that? It's a poison. It's a carcinogen. Any colored, like yellow 10, yellow 15, those are cancer-producing chemicals. Why they allowed in our food supply, I don't know. But it's your choice to eat them or not, okay? So, avoid foods that do not have energy. I tell people, you want to feel more alive? Eat more life-living food, right? Eat more food that's alive if you want to feel more alive, okay? Next slide. Reduce, limit sugar, okay? Sugar is a poisonous chemical, more addictive than most drugs, okay? You have to start having a game plan on limiting your sugar, okay? Sugar feeds bacteria. Bacteria can cause disease. We do not want that in our temple, okay? So limit, especially refined processed sugar, okay? Because is there sugar in apples? Is there sugar in grapes? Yes, but that's God's sugar, okay? That's not man's sugar. Okay. Next slide, please. The ruin of sugar suppresses your immune system. Can cause rapid increases in cortisol and adrenaline. Cause of loss of tissue elasticity. Okay? All those people now that are getting Botox at Hollywood, they eat too much sugar. They drink too much alcohol. That's what causes all of that. Feeds cancer cells. How do they detect cancer in the body? They inject you with sugar, and they see where it accumulates, okay? Okay, so every time you're eating sugar, just know that you may be feeding cancer cells. We don't want that. Next slide, please. Okay, avoid, limit grains, corn products. Okay, one of the #1 processed foods in America is grains. Okay, so we need to limit grains because grains turn into sugar in the body, and grains are processed, ripped away of all their nutrient value, and then they may add some back. Okay, but it's not something we want to eat a lot of is grains. Okay, how many of you studied the food pyramid? Throw it out. Okay, throw it out. We don't live by the food pyramid. Okay, next slide, please. Corn derivatives. One thing I never let my kids eat as children, okay? One thing I never let them eat was high fructose corn syrup. It destroys the liver, causes spike in insulin and blood sugar, and it's something that can really create sickness and disease in children, okay? There is a rampant rage of obesity in our children, okay? One of the most products that they find is causing that is high fructose corn syrup. Where are you going to find high fructose corn syrup? Cereals. #1 thing that kids should never drink, soda. Soda. Okay? My kids never to this day are allowed to drink soda. No soda. Okay? You can get soda with sugar in it. There's natural sodas with sugar in it. If you feel the need for that, fine. But no high fructose corn syrup. The other thing, and I think it's in here, is how many of you eat French fries? Trans fats. One of the worst things for the human body is trans fats. And guess how long it takes for trans fats to leave the body? 3 months. You eat French fries, it takes 3 months to clear those fats out of your body. Baked fries, no. These are like deep fried fries. Now, if they're pre-cooked, if you're making them yourselves and bake them, that's fine. Yep. Next slide, please. Reduce, limit dairy intake. Why? To the point we made before about the toxins, right? The hormones and everything that is in our food supply. These are all things that carry that. We should not be drinking, I'll get to your question, we should not be drinking milk. Children, one of the first things I tell children, parents that come into my office and bring their children, especially that have ear infections, chronic infections, always sinusy, belly aches, skin trouble, get them off dairy. I just had a woman come in, brought her 3-week-old baby, maybe a month-old baby, okay? She took it to the doctor. Doctor wants to put did put the baby on Prilosec. Imagine that, 4 weeks old, put on Prilosec because the baby's colicky. Okay, the baby's colicky for a reason. Okay, well, it might have silent reflux. She came to me, her mother was a patient in my office. She came to me and said, can you help my baby? First thing you need to do, are you breastfeeding? Yes. You need to get off the dairy. No dairy. And then every time you eat, I'm going to give you enzymes that you're going to put on your nipple for when the baby latches on. We could swab the mouth of the baby or just make sure it's getting some every time he eats to help the digestive system break down the milk that he's getting from you and the nutrients from you. And in 3 days, baby slept through the night for the first time. 3 days, okay? And we took them off the Prilosec. Baby's doing wonderful. The baby's grandmother came in today. How's the baby doing? Fantastic, okay? If that mom, and it's not about me, if that mom never came to see me and that baby stayed on Prilosec, that baby has a long history of sickness and disease ahead of them with digestive trouble. And if you suffer with digestive trouble, that is a big issue for the health of your body because everything that you fuel your body with through your mouth has to be absorbed through your digestive system. And if your digestive system is not working properly, if you suffer with heartburn, belly aches, bloating, gas, constipation. I had a woman come into my office today, doesn't poop twice a week. That is not okay. That is not okay. Oh, my doctor says I just might have slow bowels. No, that is not okay. Okay? You eat 2 meals a day and you go to the bathroom twice a week? Where's everything going? Right? Yeah? Is there a problem here? Houston, do we have a problem? Yes, there's a big problem here, right? All right. Next slide, please. Avoid artificial sweeteners. One of the most toxic chemicals you can put into your body is artificial sweeteners. So if any of you drink diet soda, it must be eliminated from your diet as soon as possible, okay? I have a woman, came to me, 20 years of migraine headaches, okay? How long has she been drinking Diet Coke? 25 years, okay? Told her to stop drinking the Diet Coke. We put her on some nutrients. We put her on some liver detoxification. She's had one migraine in the past 4 months, okay? So you don't have to live in misery. You just have to open up your owner's manual and start asking yourself questions. Next slide, please. Neurotoxin destroys your nerve system. So artificial sweeteners, Splenda, Equal, what's the other? Blue, pink, saccharin, all those. What is it? Stevia is good. I'm glad you brought that up. Stevia is a natural herbal. It's a sweet plant. Okay, you can use that. Okay, that's fine. That's okay. Monk fruit is fine. Okay, it's not spiking your blood sugar. That's good. Okay. Question? You could ask a question, buddy. Question. Okay. If you're getting milk from a healthy resource where it's not pasteurized, homogenized, good. Okay. FDA doesn't allow us to put on the shelves to the public non-homogenized, non-pasteurized. Now, they'll do flash pasteurization, which is better, flash homogenized, which is better, because they did a study where they took babies and gave them whole milk from the cow, no issues. They gave them the pasteurized, homogenized milk, which kills all the enzymes and all the healthy bacteria, issues, okay? So no dairy, okay, unless you have a healthy resource of dairy that you could be getting it where it's non-homogenized, non-pasteurized. Now, you have to make sure it's good. I've had people that have that. They come to me, and they got parasites from the milk. Okay, so it's got to be, you know, you got to do your homework on that. Yes? I'm sorry? No. Okay. My recommendation is no milk. Okay? No milk. Now, oat milk is fine. Almond milk is fine if you're not sensitive to almonds, right? So then people always share with me, because I'm taking care of a young child right now who's about, I think he's 14 months old. He's had ear infections, chronic, for the last 5 months. They resisted me, and when I told them that we needed to get your baby off cow's milk, okay? They resisted me. I didn't see them for months. They came back to me, because the antibiotics and what the medical doctors were doing was not working. So he has not had an ear infection in 5 months, and he's been off dairy. Adults, children, I don't recommend it. So the question I always get, well, where are they going to get their protein? Where are they going to get their calcium? Spinach, broccoli has more calcium than milk, okay? I know we're used to seeing the commercials of Michael Jordan, Joe Montana with the milk mustache. You know, they did a great job of marketing to us thinking that we need milk for strong, healthy bones. That's not true. Cheese, same thing, right? Now we're getting into, you know, we could be here for a very long time setting up diet plans for everyone. But I'm not a fan. If you want to do the cheese in moderation, but there are cheeses, like if you do goat milk cheese, I would prefer goat milk cheese, okay? Yes. The proteins are smaller, easier to break down from a cow. In fact, when my son was sick and he didn't clear up 100% with the goat's milk after like 4 months, 5 months, we moved to sheep's milk. And we were shipping it in from Wisconsin somewhere, frozen. And that seemed to really do the trick because the proteins are smaller and smaller. Remember, the purpose of a mother's milk, whether it's a human or a cow, is to take a cow, right, a calf that's 100 pounds born and build it into a 1,000-pound cow, right? Should we be giving that to children, right? We are the only species on the planet that drinks another mammal's milk. Like, so if I ask you, come with me to the barn, would you get on the ground and start going like this and sucking on the udders, right? It's just not a thing that we should be doing, so I don't feel that we should be consuming different mammals' milks. Now, has it been seen to have benefit? Yes. If it's not pasteurized, not homogenized, yes. And if you're going to consume it, I'd rather you consume goat's milk, especially if you have digestive issues, skin issues, headaches, migraines. Proteins in cow's milk can cause a lot of problems to people because they don't have the digestive capacity because of assaults of taking antibiotics and their poor dietary habits, that their digestive capacity isn't designed to break down those proteins, so it can cause problems. So I prefer goat's milk over cow's milk. I prefer goat cheese over cow's cheese. So did I answer your question? Okay. But overall, I think you're better off without dairy. And I always tell people, listen, I'm not here to tell you what to eat or how to eat. I'm going to just give you information. You make the choice for yourselves. But I challenge you to, if you have certain issues with your health, and remember, it doesn't have to be symptoms that are like all this full-blown, if you have a little fatigue, trouble getting up in the morning, not sleeping right, I challenge you, if you do dairy, take the dairy out of your diet for 30 days. You can do anything for 30 days. Take the dairy out of your diet. You want to do 2 weeks? Do 2 weeks. Take the dairy out of your diet and see if you notice any changes. Can you do food sensitivity testing? Yeah, we do a lot of food sensitivity testing in our office. We get your blood, we send it to a lab, we get a whole report of 185 different foods. It'll tell me what your body's sensitive to and what you should not be eating, right? That's creating inflammation. You get up every morning, you put your feet down. If you feel your knees and your ankles hurt and your joints hurt, and it takes you a little bit to get, that's because you have a ton of inflammation in your body. You need to figure out why, because once that inflammation starts to get into your cardiovascular system, now you're at risk for more damage in more serious ways, okay? Next slide, please. There's the trans fat. So there's your fast food, your fried food, your French fries, your donuts, your cookies, your cakes. So it's hidden in different labels, hydrogenated oils. You'll see fat on a label. You'll see saturated fat, and then you'll see unsaturated or monounsaturated fat. If you ever take the difference between the two, and there's like 6 grams of fat, 4 grams of saturated fat, and there's 2 grams that are not accounted for, that's trans fat. FDA doesn't require companies to label it, and yet they can declare zero trans fat under a certain percentage, meaning it still has it in there, but they can say there's none. Go figure. FDA. Okay? Yes? Where does what? Eggs? Yeah, so good question. Eggs is not considered dairy. Yep, so we're just talking cow's milk as far as dairy. Yep, sorry? Butter? Yeah, butter could be dairy. So I recommend you use ghee or you use grass-fed butter. Okay? Grass-fed butter. Has less toxins, more omega fats, which is healthier for the brain. People think butter is bad. Butter is good. Okay? The right butter is good. Organic milk? So organic milk means that you're just going to not have the toxins and the pesticides that the animal eats or the feed that it gets, right? So that's a cleaner milk, right? But it still has the proteins in there that can be causing a problem. So it's a cleaner milk, doesn't have the toxins, but it's still dairy and can create problems to people that don't have good, sufficient digestion, okay? Next slide, please. Your body needs proteins, fats, and carbs. Carbohydrates are your energy, protein for healing and repair, fat for organ function, balance, and cell structure. So you should never be eating just one thing, like I'm going to eat no carbohydrates. I'm going to eat keto. If you do keto, it should be short term, okay? But if you're going to do it right, you get a balance of all three. But what? Food by God, food by nature, not in a box, not in a bag. Next slide, please. Tips for metabolic balance. Tip 1, do away with heavy carbs such as bread, pasta, and other flour products. Uh-oh. This is when people start to not like me for coming, okay? Tip 2, do not eat any carbohydrate-rich meal other than vegetables after your midday meal, especially if you are more inactive in the morning. If you eat more sugary, carbohydrate-rich stuff, it dumps into your blood as what? Sugar. You get a rise in sugar. wake up multiple times in the middle of the night? Are you eating late? Okay? Stop eating so late. Cut yourself off, 6 o'clock, that's it. Okay? If you're eating late and you're spiking your blood sugar, it could be interfering with your sleep. Drink more water and vegetable juices. If you choose to drink vegetable and fruit juices, you should be diluting it 50% with water to control any blood sugars. Cut out any stimulant drinks. Uh-oh, hold my ears. I got a question for you. How many of you drink coffee because you love the taste versus how many of you drink coffee because you need the boost? Raise your hand if it's both. Okay? Okay. So, if you need to rely on coffee for fuel, like you need that boost, you need to ask the question what? Why? Because something's not right. And all you're using is a crutch and a stimulant, no different than a drug, to help try to give you more energy. Energy drinks, the worst, okay? Children are dying because of them, okay? So that's a serious thing. That's a serious thing. Yes? Yeah, so a lot of reverse osmosis is probably the easiest to get. Spring water, you need to know where the spring is coming from, right? Because you can get parasites from spring water, so you got to be careful with that. Reverse osmosis is probably the cleanest, but they take everything out and then they add minerals back in, right? Now, spring water is okay. If you drink distilled water, you need to be taking or adding minerals to it. Do not drink distilled water by itself without taking some form of mineral tablet, either in the water or a mineral supplement tablet or liquid. Why? Water is very reactive to minerals. When you pull minerals out of water and you drink distilled water, it's the purest liquid you can get. But what it does is it tracks minerals. It needs minerals to be stable. So what does it do to the minerals in your body? It starts leaching them from your body, and then you're peeing out. You're going to lose minerals. Heart palpitations, anxiety, things like that will start happening. Okay? So don't drink distilled water without taking a mineral supplement. Yes. Unless you're taking a mineral supplement with it. Yes. You want to be careful with drinking distilled water. Question? Yes. No, it's not bad. Just make sure you're changing your filters on time, frequently, like a Brita filter, okay? Make sure you're changing them on time and not letting them extend their life and still putting the water through, because then it's going to create a problem. I don't like drinking water. Okay, so I'll give you a tip. Plastic bottles, make sure you never drink out of a plastic bottle that got warm. So keeping water bottles in your car and then drinking them, once they get, and think about it, when they're transported in the summertime, they're not refrigerated. Plastic can leach into the bottles. So you got to be careful with that. Other thing I will always tell clients to do, if you drink water bottles, okay, make sure you don't drink the same company all the time. Switch it up, right? Switch it up. You do a month or two of Dasani, do a month or two of Deer Park, do a month or two of Poland Spring. Mix up your variation of the water so it's coming from different areas of where different springs are, have different minerals, so you're not just doing the same thing. I tell people, same thing with your food. One of the worst issues we have in our society with eating is that you do not have enough diversity of food in your diet. One of the most important things for digestive health is gut diversity, the microbes and the bacteria in your gut, the diversity. You only have that diversity based on the diversity of food you introduce to those bacteria. So if you write down what you eat for a week or 2 weeks, I only really eat chicken, avocado, and maybe 6 other things, that's not good. You need variation in your diet. It makes your GI more resilient. Yes? what's I guess the best fruits, vegetables, okay, are always going to be your fresh, then frozen, then canned. I would try to stay away from canned as much as you can, okay? But if you can't, that's fine. Just make sure that you're reading the labels of the cans on what preservatives are in there and what preservatives you're consuming, right? All right, next slide. Oh, massively limit or abolish as much food by man as possible. Next slide. Probiotics are essential. We just talked about good gut health is very important. So taking a good, healthy probiotic. What destroys your healthy bacteria? The list is there. Antibiotics, aspirins, NSAIDs, steroids, processed food, alcohol. Next slide. Avoid soy products. Okay? Soy is the #1 genetically modified food here in the United States. We should be avoiding it. Okay? Now, there's a difference between fermented soy and non-fermented soy. Fermented soy would be okay, but very hard to find. Next. Omega-3s, I think everyone. Omega-3 fats, very important if you don't eat fish, which is fine. Don't eat overabundance of fish because of mercury poisoning and mercury toxicity. But we should be taking healthy fats in our diet, like fish oil, omega fats. Very healthy for the brain. Give them to your kids. I've been giving my kids fish oil since I could squirt it in their mouth and they would swallow it. Very healthy. Not a lot, but give it to them. Very, very healthy for brain development. Yes? Yep, cod liver oil is one of the best and one of the things we use. Next. Problems we must fix in order to help our health improve. Stop symptom treating. Stop condition management. Address the root cause of your problems. Use diet and natural resources. And educate the masses on the power that made the body heals the body. And I think that concludes. Let's make sure. If you think pursuit of good health is expensive, you should try consuming illness. Remember that. I hear that all the time. It's expensive. It's expensive. How would you treat your car? How would you treat that $1 million racehorse? So remember, the choices you're making with that is an investment for your health, right? And without your health, we don't have much, right? Go ahead. The doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will interest his patients in the care of the human frame, in diet, and in the cause and prevention of disease. Thomas Edison. I have this quote in my lobby in my office. Very, very important one to me that I live by. And next one. Cherish your life and what God has given to you. You only get one body, one life, and one shot. Make it great. Thank you. Oh, yeah, we can do that.
We got this gift he's going to give away. If you have any tickets yet. One of the great things, folks, is take care of your health, but also your spiritual life is very important. The Bible says, let this mind be in you, which is in Christ Jesus. Live like Jesus wanted you, and you'll have a lot of less stress in your life. Amen? All right, you got a number?